Greetings, everybody. It's Jeffrey Guterman, Strat-O-Matic Sports Network, and we have the Cincinnati Reds at the Chicago Cubs. Final game of a 4-game series on August 28, 1969, and it's coming right at you. We'll have the starting lineups in just a couple minutes. And Ron McGrath has arrived. He's for the Reds. I'm going to clean my glasses, and I'm going to fill up my coffee, and we will be back with the starting lineups in just a few minutes, couple minutes. Yeah. In our Strat-O-Matic 1972 NFL replay. And Kathy Harden has arrived. She's for the Cubs. The Bills lead the Jets 21-14 at halftime. The murderer has scored all 3 touchdowns. You want to talk about realism? Strat-O-Matic has no qualms giving a card to O.J. Simpson. Well, we've got a ball game here. This is the 4th game of a 4-game series. The Cubs have taken 2 of 3. It'll be Jerry Arrigo, the left-hander, for Cincinnati, and Ferguson for the Cubs. The Reds come in 11.5 behind in 3rd place, behind Atlanta. The Cubs in 3rd place, 8 behind. They are making more ground now. In 2nd place in the East are the St. Louis Cardinals, and they are 5.5 behind. Let's look at our opening lineups. For the Reds, it's Pete Rose leading off in right, Tolan in center, Alex Johnson in left field, Perez at 3rd, bench catching, Lee May at 1st, Helms at 2nd, Woodward at short, and Jerry Arrigo, the pitcher. For the Cubs, it's the usual. Don Kessinger at short, Beckert at second, Williams in left, Santo at third, Mr. Cub, Ernie Banks at first, Hickman in right, Hundley behind the plate, Don Young in center, and batting ninth, Ferguson. Arrigo has 3 wins, Ferguson with 13, and the Cubs take the field. Ferguson taking his warm-ups. A murder. And he's got a card. And a very good one, I might add. I know that's sort of sick. And leading it off is Pete Rose, switch hitter. Oh, let's get the guy. The dice tower might help. That dice tower might help indeed. Rose steps in, switch hitter, batting left now. And Jenkins throws, 6-8. Whoops, that might help to use a 20 die. We'll roll it if needed. That's 6-8, switch hitter batting left. And it's a base hit for Pete Rose to lead it off. So Rose is on. Here's Tolan now. And Rhodes Scholar has arrived. Great to see you, Rhodes Scholar. We got Scholar and Cat for the Cubs. And got Ron McGrath for the Reds. The pitch to Tolan. That's 3-7 right-handed. It's a base hit up the middle for Tolan. Rose goes to second. 1-16. With Young, he's going, and they let him go. So first and third with nobody out, and the Cubs will play the infield back. They'll concede a run. They'll trade a run for a double play. Okay, Jenkins. That's 2-7. And he grounds it to short, and that's going to double Tolan. I was not holding him. I should have, but I didn't mention it. It's a 6-4-3 double, and Rose comes home. It's 1-0. If I don't say it, even though I generally hold A's, I always hold A's, that's my error, and it's built into the game. It's not intentional. Now it's 2 outs, nobody on, 1-0 Reds. Here's Tony now. And the pitch from Ferguson. That's 6-9 right-handed. Lord, that's going to be a base hit for Perez. Looks like the makings of a long day for Ferguson, or maybe a short one. Perez on first, 2 down, 1 in. Here's Bench. That's 5-5 right-handed, and he struck him out, and the side is retired. But 1 run for Cincinnati on 3 singles, and 1 left on. After a half, Reds 1, Cubs coming to bat. Don Kessinger to lead it off here for the Cubs. And that's a 6-7, left-handed, grounds it to second, X. That'll be for Helms. He's at 223 at second. It's a G1. That's going to be 6-10-14. Helms at 23. My eyes are out of focus. God. 23, that's going to be 6, 10, 14. Oh, God. I got to rub them out. And that is a G1 clean. That's going to be a ground out. And it's one away. Sometimes when you take a nap or something, your eyes are blurry and they have trouble getting back in focus. Let me see if I can get them back in focus here. Boy, that is tough. Need new glasses. It's a little better. Arrigo on the mound. That's 1-6 left-handed. It's a base hit by Beckert. A 1-out single. And now Billy Williams, lefty-lefty now. Three, 6 left-handed, base hit Williams. Beckert rounds second, goes to third, and the Cubs have first and third, 1 out. For Santo, the team captain. Cubs feel like they're still in it. I was talking to Leo DeRocha, the skipper for Chicago. He says they're very positive. They just want to play their game, play good ball. And they feel they're in this. Okay, Arrigo. The pitch to Santo. That's going to be 5-7 right-handed. Fly ball center. Under it is Tolan. And it's 2 away. And Ernie Banks now in a clutch situation. Arrigo throws 2-6, and he struck him out. Banks goes down swinging. No runs, 2 hits, and 2 left on. And after 1, it's 1-0 Reds. Here's Ferguson. I sent a post out, an X-post, out to Ferguson, letting him know that he's starting today. He's on X, formerly Twitter. Jerry has arrived. We welcome you, sir. Here's Lee May now to lead it off. And the pitch from Jenkins, 4-5, struck him out. That's 2 in a row for Ferguson. And now Tommy Helms. I'm just enjoying my cup of coffee. This will probably be my last cup. I'll save what's in there for a nightcap. We'll go to the other stuff soon. We'll smoke some grass. As soon as I finish this up here. Okay, here's the pitch to Helms. That's 6-6, struck him out. Number 3 for Ferguson. Woodward at the plate now. 2 outs, nobody on. 4-12 right-handed, and that is a base hit. A 2-out single, Woodward on first. And here is Arrigo. A 2 WL. Hey Kelly, I haven't finished the season. I am, I have another 400 games, but actually 400 and 7 to be exact, but I'm not counting, and that's what's helped. I'm enjoying the process, Kelly, and I just love doing it here. Every one of them since July's on the schedule. Every one of them on YouTube with my buddies. And in fact, there aren't many things I get as much joy out of than this in my glamorous life. Here's the pitch to Arrigo. That's 5-8, left-handed, and he grounds it to second. And Beckert has it, throws it over to Banks, and the side is retired. I think it's medication time. Well, I am close. I'm about a year away. If I play one game a day, that's about a year. Okay, I've gone about 2.5 years. I'm not even sure. I don't even care. You know what I'm saying? Let me pull out my pipe. You know, I'll tell you something. When I was a kid, it seemed undoable. You know what I mean? I had to go to school. I had to do this. I had to do that. But in my older age, it's quite doable. You just gotta enjoy it, you know what I mean? I'll tell you something though, Kelly. This wouldn't be worth anything to me now without all of you broadcasting it on YouTube. It's like I understand people who go full solitaire in isolation, maybe in solitude. I have no desire now. Yeah, no problem there, Road. I used to do it. I used to actually enjoy it sometimes. Here's Jim Hickman now. Arrigo, the wind-up and the pitch. That's 5-6 right-handed. He pops it up to short for Woodward. One down. Now Randy Hundley. That's a good idea also, Rhodes Scholar. You can give us updates. Here's Arrigo. And the pitch, 5-3 right-handed. It's grounded to first X. That's going to be for Lee May. Lee is a 3-12. So nice to have the chart right here. 3-12. That's a G3. Six, 9, 12. That's going to be a ground out. Two away. For Don Young. 2 down, nobody on. Young at the plate. It's Ferguson on deck. Here's Arrigo. 5-5 right-handed, and he chops it to third. And it's picked up by Perez. He throws it over, and it's a 1-2-3 for Arrigo. And we've gone 2. It's 1-0. Top of the order for the Reds. Beautiful, beautiful. What's going on here? And we appreciate all your likes. Let me turn the AC up a little. Beautiful, beautiful afternoon ball game. Okay, here's Ferguson facing Rose. 2 Hall of Fame. Oh, sorry, Pete. No gambling. Here's Ferguson now. That's 2-7, and he struck him out. That's the 4th for Ferguson. Now Bobby Tolan steps in. Singled and was out in the double. That led to Rose coming home. I don't know why my frickin' thing keeps... Let me just check to make sure. Oh, Mr. Scholar, yeah. I keep getting, because I watched this, folks, I watched this game with you on hold on, this damn thing, you know. There. Maybe I'm using a different browser. I don't want to get into the debates about whether Rose should be in or not, but there's a rule: you can't gamble. And in baseball, and if you're gonna let him back in, you've got to let everybody else, including Joe Jackson. And the question I have, and I don't mean to sound moralistic to you all, what kind of society are we gonna be? Are we gonna be a society that makes a rule, doesn't follow it? What kind of message is that? Okay? Gambling is an absolute no-no in baseball. So I'm not for him getting back, but I said my piece. If you think he should, my only question is, what about Joe White Sox, who might be eligible for the Hall of Fame? That's all I have to say. If you want to, it keeps going out on my Chrome. It keeps going out, and then I can't see the text as quickly. Your texts. Oh, there it is. It came back. Okay, Tolan now with 1 out. Here's Ferguson. I'm just trying to present the case, my case to you, the logic of it. I have another one if any of you want to hear it. It has nothing to do with baseball. Here's the pitch to Tolan, and he struck him out. That's the 5th for Ferguson's. Looks like he's settling down. He struck out the last 5 of 7 that he's faced here. 2 outs, and here's Alex Johnson. And the pitch. 6-8 right-handed. And that is a, oh, what a catch, stopped by Santo and across the diamond. And the side is retired. It's a 1-2-3. And we're heading to the bottom of the 3rd. Here's Arrigo. He'll face Ferguson to get it started. Ferguson has really settled down very, very nicely. Okay, Ferguson steps in. That's 5-5 right-handed. And he grounds it to 3rd for Perez. 1 away. Here's Kessinger, grounded to 2nd in the 1st. It's a 1-0 ball game between these two classic rivals. Both these teams in the original 8, if you will. A great rivalry. So is St. Louis and Chicago. Here's Arrigo now. That's 4-6. Switch hitter, batting right. He walked him. So Kessinger is on. I'll tell you. You know, sometimes humor can be very, very off-key. For example, the Jets are at the Buffalo Bills in our 72 replay. And at halftime, OJ is killing the Jets. 3 touchdowns for OJ. 1 was passing. Okay, Arrigo now. Facing Beckert, it's Kessinger on first, 1 down. From the stretch now, Arrigo. And that's 4-10 right-handed, fly ball left. And Alex Johnson has it. It's 2 away. Sometimes you can say things that are in bad taste, I know. My heart goes out to the Goldman family, those poor children of his. Just gut-wrenching to even think of such a thing. He was, okay. Oh, the juice was loose indeed. Oh, Lord. It's 2 down now. Kessinger on first, Arrigo. And the pitch to Williams. That's going to be a 6-4 left-handed. Chops it to short. For Woodward, a 330. 8. G3. It's going to be a 30. I now have learned if you just memorize in your head momentarily the error rating, it makes it much quicker. 30, 11, 14. 30-14. No, he's going to get it. And the side is going to be retired. So it's no runs, no hits, a walk, and left on base. It's 1-0 after 3. And the juice is loose in that game. I think the Jets will come back in the second half. I took a look at some of the play results on that Buffalo defensive card. The 3 of them, they don't have great defense. I'm telling you, I'm going to have Namath challenge them. I'm going to have him always in a threat to use Riggins or Boozer, but watch out for the pass to Bell, Castor, and Maynard. Those are three really good receivers. Maynard was a veteran by now. I think he was on the original Titans, but I could be wrong. Here's Tony now. Speaking of veteran, not sure we call him veteran in '69. It's great to be back into baseball because it's so easy. It's so smooth. But the football's getting easier too. I played a half quicker than I ever did. It was like only about 2.25 hours. Still getting a little stuck on some issues. One of the things, Ron, is I'm trying to figure out if, for example, on the defensive card it says offender or team's offender. Or offense, asterisk, or team's offense. I think you look at the, you got to figure out, I'm sorry, I'm not going to go into that now. Here's Tony now. We're in baseball. Can you imagine playing all 4 games? Hockey and basketball? And I know people who play lots of different games. I've seen people who have YouTube channels. They play, one guy says he plays over 250 different games. I don't think I could do that. Nor would I want to. Is it raining out there? It's probably wishful thinking is what that is. Here's the pitch to Perez. That's 210, and it's chopped to second. Beckert fields it and throws to Ernst. We've got a pretty much of a pitching matchup here in the 4th inning now. Here's Bench. A lot of these hitters always a threat to knock it out of the park. And the pitch to Bench. 3-11. Hits it back to Ferguson. He's got it. And he throws to Banks 2 away for Lee May. Look how smooth and easy. It's like pudding. Okay, May struck out by Ferguson. And that's going to be 2-8 right-handed. Hits it back again to Ferguson. And Ferguson gloves it, throws him out. So it's a 1-2-3. Ferguson has retired 7 in order. We're in the middle of the 4th. Poor Ferguson. He wrote a book, and then they did a documentary, The Glory and the Grief. It's the glory of him being a Hall of Famer, and then the grief of his daughter being murdered by her boyfriend. And he doesn't, and I gotta hand it to him. Oh God, to even talk about it. So you did an entire season, Kelly? Oh, Tiny. Tiny, I haven't thought about Tiny in a long time. So you played the whole, now granted it's an 81 game, I believe 81 games, 82 games. But still, 4 years, yeah. But Kelly, the thing I want to suggest, and I don't know if we've had this discussion, it's the process, not the product. We don't do a replay, or at least I don't, in order so that we could finish it and play the playoffs. We do the replay because we enjoy the process. The playoffs is a bonus. That's just a bonus. That's like a cherry on top. That's all. Okay, you enjoy the main dish. Yeah, that's what I think, Kelly. I really believe it. I'm not, Maybe when I get down to 10 games, I'll get it, or 100 games, I'll be getting excited, but I'll still be playing and playing. I'll tell you this, if two lousy teams or any teams on the last day are playing each other and it doesn't affect the replay, I'm not going to play those games, just on the last day. And sometimes you notice that sometimes a team will play less than 162. 161 or 160 in more rare cases because of rain out that was just not worth rescheduling. Well, here's Jerry Arrigo to face Santo, Banks, and Hickman here in the bottom of the fourth. There's Leo sitting in the dugout. He used to wear women's perfume. Did you know that? It has nothing to do with his sexuality or anything. He used to dress up like a gangster in these fancy suits and put on perfume, and it was women's perfume. Christ. Okay, can you believe after the Cubs, he managed the Astros? That's pretty Christ. He was hardly alive by then. Here is Arrigo, facing the captain, Ron Santo, and the pitch. That's going to be 1-5 left-handed, and he struck him out. And that is the second for Arrigo. Here's Mr. Cub. Ernie struck out in the first. And that's 6-11 right-handed, fly ball right axe. Trying to get under that is Rose. He's a 1-4. That's an F2. He's a 4. That's 11-13. And he hauls it down. I don't even need to look at that, but we will. Just because we're still a little new to it. You know, I always checked on the basic and the advanced X chart because there was only one thing to check, and I always checked that. But this on the second, based on the logic with no one on an F2, that's an out. Here's Hickman now. An original New York Met, Jim Hickman, acquired by the Cubs. 2 outs, nobody on, inside for a ball to Hickman. We're in the afternoon. Cubs would love to take this. The series, 3 out of 4, move within 7 1/2 would be the plan. Okay, Arrigo is ready. Here's the pitch to Hickman. Whoops. The pitch to Hickman. That's going to be 6-5 right-handed, chops it to short. And that's going to be Woodward, a 330. .330, that's 5-3. It's a G3. He's a 30 at short, Woodward. And it's going to be 5-10-11. No, he throws him out. And the side is retired, but we'll look again. G3 is out. Okay, but nobody on. And it's another 1, 2, 3, 4 Arrigo. So we've gone 4 in a very, for me, a very smooth, and I am sort of dreamy right now. That's the cannabis. Sort of in a very dream-like state. Very dreamlike. We're going to head to the top of the 5th. And here's Ferguson. Tommy Helms is the batter. The pitch to Helms. Whoa, 1-7. And that is a base hit for Helms to lead it off. So Helms is on. Here's Woodward. I would bunt him if Arrigo wasn't up next. But we'll have him hit away. And that's going to be 4-6 right-handed. Struck him out. You see, you should have bunted. That's the 6th for Ferguson. And here's Jerry Arrigo. It's Helms on first, 1 down. That's 6-9, left-handed. Base hit up the middle for Arrigo. Well, there you go. Should have done it. Helms goes to second. And Helms will 1-14. He will hold. I'm not thrilled about having to send him with 1 out. Worst thing you could do is have him thrown out, then you have 2 outs. Arrigo on second, granted, but the 2 outs is no fun. Here's Pete Rose now. Peter, 1 for 2. Singled, scored, struck out, gambled on his own team, and was thrown out of baseball. I believe he gambled on his own team. I mean, that is a frickin' cardinal sin. The pitch to Pete, 2-5, and he grounds it to first, and that's going to be a double play by Banks. Steps on the bag and just hurls it with those rubber band wrists over to Beckert, and the side is retired. No runs. 2 hits and 1 left on. Opposing viewpoints are welcome. I'm not here. I don't want to get into a pissing match. Here's Jerry Arrigo. Now, Jerry's first endurance inning is the 6th. Ferguson is the 8th. I'm going to need better glasses because these, I need to see an eye doctor. I just don't have the time or the gumption. Here's Randy Hundley now. Maybe a magnifying glass would help. I think it would. Can you imagine putting a whole magnifying glass sort of as a lens over this whole thing? Okay, Hundley 0 for 1. Arrigo now. I like these little dice. Not always. There's the pitch to Hundley. 3-8 left-handed. Hit deep by Randy. And that's the wind's holding it back. It drops in, though, into the gap, and he's into second with a double. Boy, did Randy hard. A 3-8 double. And so Randy, the tying run on second. And here's Don Young now. Young is an A bunter. See if the Cubs can get something going here in the 5th. Arrigo from the stretch. And the pitch to Young. That's 1-5 left-handed, and that's going to be a base hit for Young. Hundley rounding third and coming home with the tying run. So a double, then the single is just right on the money there for the Cubs in the bottom third of their order. And here comes Ferguson now in a tie ball game, 1-1. Ferguson going for win number 14 tonight. Very dreamy now. Here's Arrigo. That's going to be 6-8 right-handed. Base hit to right. Young goes to second. And he'll hold with Rose. Rose has a good arm. And it's first and second, still nobody out. And Kessinger is at the bat now. We're going to have Kessinger lay it down. He's a B, now he's a C. It's an 8C, and it looks like it's a beauty. My. It's hit to first. And May can only take it to the bag. And the runners advance. So Ferguson on second, Young on third, one down. And here's Beckert. Here are the Reds now. They'll play the infielders back unless I say otherwise. It's a great frickin' game, Ron. The pitch to Beckert, 6-8 right-handed. There's a base hit. Again off of Arrigo. That's to right. Young scores. Jenkins rounding with 2 outs. He's a 1-10, -2, 1-8. And believe it or not, he's coming home because it's a little better than Williams. And he's safe. Jenkins, Ferguson slides it in. Beckert goes to second. And it's a 3-1 ball game, and out comes the manager. I don't know who the Astros manager was, having a talk with Arrigo. I don't think Sparky managed them yet. And there is action. Ramos and Karl. I've been using Karl a bit too much. They're going to use Ramos in real world? Well, guess what? This was a 3-1 game, a close one. Let's be realistic and use him. His ERA is bump. I'm going to tell you that right now, 5.23. But darn it, if you use him, but I want to use him. And we didn't know back then how he would be pitching. So they're going to stay with Arrigo here. He's allowed 4 hits this inning. 3 have come in. And the Cubs lead at 3-1, and here's Williams now. And it's still only 1 out, with Beckert on second, advancing on Rose's throw, which was late as Jenkins came in. Here's the pitch to Williams. That's 3-5, struck him out. Oh, 3-5, it's a base hit. Beckert comes home. And he's getting hit pretty hard here in the 5th, and that's going to be it, believe it or not, for Arrigo. They've seen enough. Williams singles a run, 4 runs now. Let's look at this again. Wait a minute. Williams, 3-5 against the left-hander, base hit. He scores. 4 runs in. And that's it for Arrigo. And Ramos is no better. But he pitched, and he's going to come in and actually down 4-1 is a great opportunity for Ramos. Arrigo pitched 3 1/3 and fell apart here in the 4th. He walked 1, struck out 2. He's allowed 4 this inning, but he's responsible for Williams, and here's Ramos now, facing the captain. Captain Santo, 0 for 2 today. It's Williams on first, 1 out. Pitch from Ramos, 6-5, fly ball to right. Rose under it, he makes the catch, it's 2 away. Now here's Ernie Banks. I gave up on the Cubs. I would love to see the Cubs win the division. You kidding? I was a Cub fan from 70 to 73, 410 on Banks, and it's a high fly ball to left field. And Alex Johnson is under it, and he makes the catch, and the side is retired. But 4 runs for the Chicago Cubs there on 5 hits, knocking Arrigo out. 1 left on, it's 4-1. I'm going to take a little break here for about 5 minutes. You know, I thought I would share this with you all. You know, I told you I have a history of depression. You know that I'm fine right now. My mood is kind of neutral. But like I could do something like have to get the dice, and if it drops for a second there in sort of a subconscious, it's just beyond immediate awareness, not deeply unconscious, I could just completely get depressed about that, about life. You know what I'm saying? That happened to me about 3 minutes ago. But I snap right out of it. But just to give you an idea of what the depths are, the dimensions are for some people who, hey, what's the matter, Ron? What's the matter, guy? Oh yeah, you're for St. Louis. You're for Cincinnati. I forgot. Yeah, sorry about that, Ron. Sorry indeed. Oh, oh, oh. Oh, God. You know, the weather here in South Florida has broken, meaning we're not getting those 88-degree days here. And especially the evenings are just delightful. We're going to get started back here in just a moment. It's going to be Ferguson pitching the top of the 5th. Now he's in the catbird seat. 4-1 Cubs, top of the 6th. And a rather swift-paced ball game, swiftly paced. Oh, that is. Well, here comes Bobby Tolan to lead it off. Tolan, Johnson, Perez. It just goes on from there. Bench, May. Heart of the order. Here's Ferguson. That's 6-8 left-handed. It's a base hit for Tolan. So Tolan is on, but he won't go against Hundley. He'd be a 1-10. And Alex Johnson is the batter. He's a B bunter. Down by 3, he'll hit away. Johnson, 0 for 2 today. We're here in the friendly confines. A very, very fun crowd. Jenkins throws. That's 5-9 right-handed. Chops it to short at Kessinger. 221. That's a G3. We're not holding. We are holding, Tolan. I think that's the first time I get a G3 pound that matters. Kessinger is a 21. That's 8-11. It's going to be a clean G3 pound. I don't think I've ever had a G3 pound. Runner on first. Runner advances. But let me see the pound again. Wait a minute. Huh. Here's the pound. Where's the pound? Here it is. If the symbol is followed, then in the following two situations, use symbol S2. The infielder. Oh, he is responsible for holding a runner. No, that's not the case. No. So it's a ground out to Kessinger, and Tolan goes to second. Much ado about nothing here. Now Tony Perez, very dreamy mental status that I have right now. It's nice, not that I'm sleepy at all, just a very, very dreamy, laid back. Here's Jenkins now, with Tolan on second, 1 out, and the pitch to Perez. And that's going to be 4-7 right-handed. Fly ball to center for Young. 2 down for Bench. Bench 0 for 2. And that's a 1-6, lines it to first, caught by Ernie. And the side is retired, so it's like butter here today for Jenkins since that first inning. No runs, 1 hit, 1 left. We're heading to the bottom of the 6th. It's a 4-1 ball game. And Ramos, I hate to use Karl. In fact, I don't think I'll use Karl. He pitched last game in our replay, and I'm pretty sure he pitched in real world last game and this game. We'll use someone else, and we won't use Granger either. Yeah. Okay, Hickman leads it off. Here's Ramos now. And that's going to be 1-3 right-handed. Struck him out. Ramos looking pretty good. Now Randy comes up. Big hand for Randy now. Randy doubled to lead off the 6th, and he came home. Young came home, Jenkins came home, all 3 of them reached safely. And Klum and Becker. Okay, here's Hundley now. That's going to be 412 right-handed. Hit deep by Randy. Way back, and it's goodbye for Randy Hundley. Wow. Oh, my. Randy's having a ball game here. Oh, yeah. Randy, let's look at that again. Off Ramos. It was a 412, right-handed. And home run 1-13. He's got the power. And it was a 5. That's all there is to it there. So Randy with a home run. And for Randy, okay, that's number 10. I thought he would have more than that, but that's what he's got. This is 10th now. So it is now a 5-1 ball game. Here's Don Young now. Five nine right-handed, and it's a fly to center for Tolan. 2 outs. And here's Ferguson. Ferguson 1 for 2, singled, scored. Ramos into his windup. The pitch to Jenkins. That's going to be 5-7 right-handed. And that is a liner to second. Caught by Helms, and the side is retired. But another run for the Cubs on the home run by Randy Hundley. It's 5-1 after 6. Again, Ferguson's first endurance is the 8th. We'll take a break for the 7th inning stretch after this half inning. Lee May leads it off. He's 0 for 2. Jenkins winds and deals. That's 1-7 right-handed. Grounds it to second. Beckert to Ernst. 1 away. Now Tommy Helms. That's 1-5 right-handed. Grounds it to short for Kessinger. Over to Ernie. Jenkins making him hit it on the ground. Now Woodward 1 for 2. The windup by Jenkins. Yeah, that's 3-8 right-handed. Grounds it to third for Santo. So a nice little sampling in the infield on ground balls by Ferguson Jenkins. A 1-2-3 inning in the middle of the 7th inning stretch here. This is the Strat-O-Matic Baseball Network, and a subsidiary of the Strat-O-Matic Sports Network. I'm Jeffrey Guterman. We've got a nice little ball game, though. Every game doesn't have to be close. We've had some great games. We had a game with the Red Sox and the who were they playing? That was a hell of a game, a 7-6 game. I think it was last night. I know. I remember you, Kathy, were of course for the other team. It was a Western team. I think it was Seattle. That's right, Seattle. I'll tell you, they're fun to play with. They're a fun club. I think all the expansion teams are kind of fun to play with. I think Seattle. Oh, was it the Royals? Okay, okay. I think the Royals are fun. Oh yeah, well, Amore, right? Fiore Amore. I'm gonna take a hit here if you don't mind. You know, a lot of us are voyeuristic, but I'm sort of exhibitionistic because I like to be watched. Okay, and I'm not talking necessarily sexually or anything like that. Not necessarily. So, uh, seventh inning stretch, people. Rhodes Scholar, I am enjoying football so much. And I got to tell you, Rhodes Scholar, did you introduce me to Ron or did Ron introduce me to Rhodes Scholar? But I know you guys are friends, I believe. Ron has been so helpful with me. Been unbelievable. But I am enjoying it so much. I'm at halftime, Jets at the Bills, week 1. The standings will be posted after week 1, 13 games. I'm enjoying it so goddamn much. There's an old expression, you're having too much fun. Oh, Lord. And it just goes to show you the entertainment value of Strat-O-Matic, regardless of the cost. I'll tell you what the best is. It's head on 1-to-1 in Strat-O-Matic live or on the. If any of you ever want to play, I know you guys and gals don't go on. You don't go live on here, But if you ever want to coach a team in one of my games, or even for a few plays, we'll pull out the sheet. You know you know what sheet I'm talking about. Okay, and we'll do the whole thing. Um, I'll send you a copy of the defense offensive ratings. Not many people to send. I mean, I could send you copies of all the players, you know, on one picture, you know. Rhodes Scholar, it's not really different than I remember, even though, and I played advanced. It has a few different rules that do make it a bit more challenging, I'm telling you. And so there's an adjustment that needs to be made. Unlike baseball, it's like riding a bicycle, okay? And I'm really digging it. Really, really digging it. Absolutely. I don't know if Ron's up to it. I don't know if Ron's here. Haven't heard from him in a bit. He gave a thumbs down earlier. I don't know why. Maybe he didn't agree with me on Pete Rose, but whatever it is, I'll tell you. I'm always prepared to apologize and make up if I did anything wrong, because I'm a fallible human being, and I will take accountability for my errors. But yeah, I'd love Ron McGriff. He knows his stuff too. And Ron has a good sense of humor too. Oh, there he is. Did I say anything wrong, Ron? Because it takes courage to inquire with somebody. Oh, okay. But it takes courage on my part to check in, because first of all, you might hear something you don't really want to hear, that you did fuck up. But yeah, Ron, if you ever want to coach with me, Ron was calling plays here. Oh, thanks a lot. Oh, gotcha, Ron. Ron did call a few offensive plays with me, which was a lot of fun. Kathy and Rhodes Scholar. Ramos. He's doing great, except he did let up a home run to Randy Hundley. And he's going to face Nuck. Don Kessinger to lead it off. And coming back to baseball, Rhodes Scholar, since you were talking about it, is like, it's all in good fun. Fuck them! Ron, fuck the Cubs, right? I'm not much into bestiality, but yeah, fuck them. Here's Kessinger now. It's coming, you know, it's like so relaxing. You know what I'm saying? To come into baseball after you played this morning. I played a half, probably the quickest ever, about just a bit over 2 hours and 10 minutes or so. Pretty quick for me for a first half, and I just breezed right from the first to the second with a couple breaks in between. And the pitch to Kessinger from Ramos. And that's going to be a 2-4 right-handed, and that is a liner to second caught by Helms. That's one out. Absolutely. Here's Beckert now. Beckert 2 for 3. Single twice, scored a run. Knocked in 2 with his base hit. Yeah, Ramos, and the pitch to Beckert. And that's a 3-4, and that is a grounder to third. And Tony has it, 2 away. And was always my favorite, Billy Williams, because he isn't the greatest outfielder, but he's not awful. He's about average, but he can run, he can hit for power, he can hit for average. Okay? That's a lot. It's 2 outs, nobody on. Williams 2 for 3 today. Here's Pedro now. The windup and the pitch from Ramos. That's going to be 6-5 left-handed. Grounds it to second for Helms, and the side is retired. 1-2-3 for Ramos. He's doing about par, 1 run in 2 innings, a little better than we would expect. Here's Ferguson now, and there's going to be a hitter for Pedro Ramos. And that means there's going to be just a little bit of a break in the action. Mike Terranova has arrived. Great to see you, Mike. Let's see who's going to hit for Ramos. Well, I'm bringing in little Al. I don't care if he has a 6.81 ERA. They're down 5-1. And that's what we're going to do. It just feels right and it feels fair. Little Al Jackson will be the new pitcher. He was an original Met. And the hit coming up to hit is Chico. Chico's been with the Reds for some time. He was on I know he was on the 64 Reds. I don't know about the 61 when they won the pennant. It's Chico coming up here, top of the 8th. And the Reds need some hits. They need hits and hits and hits. Mike Terranova, what a great guy. A super, super dude. Okay, Chico now leading it off. This is what they need. They're down by 4. Hundley hit the home run. They were 4-1. Now it's 5-1. Top of the 8th. Here's Ferguson going so nicely tonight. And Ferguson makes his wind-up and the pitch to Chico. Switch hitter batting left. 6-8, and there's a base hit just chipped into right center. Whoops. So Chico gets on. Whoa. Do you guys, I've looked on your channels. I haven't seen if you're broadcasting games. Maybe you could tell me now if that's happening. So Chico is on. Chico has good speed. And it's going to be Pete Rose now. Petey is 1 for 3. It's Chico on first. Reds down by 4. Ferguson from the stretch now. That's 3-9 right hand, and it's a base hit by Rose. Chico rounding second, goes to third. So the Reds have something going. Bobby Tolan is the batter now. Chiefs football. First on third, nobody out. Here's Tolan. Very tempting to have him lay it down, but he's such a gosh darn good hitter. The infield is back. They'll give up the run for the double. Here's Jenkins now. Whoa! That's a re-roll. We made a new house rule earlier today. It has to go through the tower, all of it, okay? All of it has to go through. And that one, I wasn't sure it went through it, so we're gonna re-roll that. It's first and third, nobody out. Here's the pitch to Tolan, 5-8, left-handed. Grounds it to second, it will be a double play. Beckert stepping on the bag, over to Ernie. And Chico comes home. So it is a 5-2 ball game, 2 outs, nobody on, and Alex is coming up here. Ron, you don't have to show your body, okay? You don't have to show your face or your body. Look at what I'm doing here, okay? Now, if you're still uncomfortable, that's fine. Any way you want to do it. But you don't have to show your body. 2 outs, nobody on. And here's Johnson. Ferguson trying to get out of this with 1 harmless run. That's 6-10 right-handed, and that's a fly to left, and it's going to be Williams. And he makes the catch. The side is retired. But a run. A run is a run is a run. And we'll see what happens. It's little Al Jackson coming in to take his warm-ups. And I sure hope you don't mind that I'm going to just take a minute to let little Al Jackson do his thing. Little Al Jackson, and you know, I am the most unprejudiced guy. I respect diversity. I had to study it as a kid in our curriculum, and also in my college, my education about multiculturalism, all that. So this has nothing to do with the fact that he's black, okay? The fact that I'm using this, this is a negative motif. This is black and white. And it's pretty cool. It looks really cool on the big screen. Actually, it looks white on the screen when it's really black. And I think that's a sort of a paradox that we're getting. There's the black, you see? But that was a very, very elusive paradox. And now it's white again. So I think that's very cool. Meanwhile, little Al Jackson is ready here. Little Al Jackson pitching to the Cubs. If you're looking ahead to the 9th for the Reds, it'll be Tony, Bench, and May. And by the way, after this broadcast, I will be providing a brief excerpt of a new series called Baseball History with Jeffrey Guterman. And it's me chronicling historical things and talking a little bit about baseball. Check your PSA. Yeah? You know, Mike, I don't even want to get into it. I'm in hospice, self-exiled hospice. Okay. And I have nothing, there's no evidence that there is anything wrong. It's a joke. Here's Santo now. That's 3-2. Oh, he hit him. Wait a minute. No, he flies it to right. Holy shit. 1 out. And here's Banks. You don't have it, do you? Whatever that. There's a spinner, 6'9", right-handed, grounds it to short axe. And that'll be for Woodward 330. G1. G112. Oh, he boots it. So that was booted by Woodward. Cubs have a base runner, 1 out. Ernie. And here's Jim Hickman. Boy. Oh, you had prostate cancer and you are in remission now, I hope. How old are you, Mike? I'm 65. If I may ask, how old are you? Okay, my age. Wow, you're old. I'm just kidding. Yeah, you're my age. It's all how you look at it, right? Okay, here's Hickman now. It's 1 out, and Banks is on first. And the pitch from Little Al. That's going to be 5-3 right-handed. Hit deep by Hickman. Whoa! Over the left field wall for a 2-run home run. Ain't that the way to do it, Kathy Harden? The Banks run is unearned. My man Hickman with a 2-run home run. Oh my. Oh, a colonoscopy. Okay, that's great. Yeah, I'm high risk also. I'm not having any more. Listen. If I die, I die. I've had enough already. I'm entitled to my decision, right? No one is gonna freaking make me freaking do what I don't want to do. That's home run number 21 for Jim. A lot of people don't know about Jim Hickman, how good he was. You're 61, okay. How many did he have in the real world? 21, okay. Yeah, I love Hickman. It's a 7-2 ball game. That's going to be an unearned run off Little Al, one of them off Little Al. Here's Hundley now. Hey, don't say what, Mike. Yeah, I don't know what you're saying. Oh, if I die, I die. Well, okay, I won't say it. You're right, it's inappropriate. Yeah, I understand, sir. You're right. It's inappropriate. I'm sorry. Maybe let me take it back if I could. Okay, here's Hundley now, 2 for 3. The pitch from Jackson. That's going to be 3-10 left-handed. Whoa, that's hit well. Deep to center, straight away, and it's gone. Hundley, his second home run of the ball game. Oh, Mike. Randy with home run number 11. I think that makes it an 8-1. That is home run number 11. Oh my, let's look at that again. 3-10 left-handed. And a home run, one off his own card. Boy, he's hitting the ball. Lord. Off Little Al. His second home run, back-to-back home runs. Hickman, anybody there? Hickman, yeah, there you go, Rhodes Scholar. Back-to-back frickin' home runs. That's what that means. Well, it's certainly nice to see the Cubs knocked down to 7.5 out. It's time they get serious. Stay loose, but be serious at your ball playing. Here's Young now. 3 runs in. That's 6-7 right-handed. It's a drive hit out by Young into the gap, and that's a stand-up double. And the manager is coming out. The pitching coach, I'm sorry. Indeed, the friendly confines, they are smacking it. Young's a good hitter. Jenkins is coming up. They're going to keep him in to pitch to Jenkins now. Let's see if Little Al can settle down. Okay, Jackson now with 1 out and Young on second. 3 runs in. That's going to be 3-7 left-handed. A grounder to second, and that'll be 2 away with Young holding. Let's see if Jackson can get Kessinger. That's going to be 4-3, switch hitter batting right. Fly ball right X. That's a 1-4. That's Pete out there to end this. And it's a fly out. Should be a F2 fly out to end the inning, as it is. But 3 runs. Yeah, the Cubs this is their game, the Cubs. One of them was unearned. And we're going to the 9th now. Little Al got hit bad. And no matter what happens, even if they come back, he's not pitching. 3, 4, 5, 6. He pitched 1. He allowed 2 earned. He allowed back-to-back home runs. Enough said. And here's Ferguson, who's gone all the frickin' way tonight. Ferguson, a Canadian-American. He's on X, formerly Twitter. Very cool guy. And this is going to be it. It's going to be Tony, Bench, and Lee May. The 3 best hitters, really, that they have, not including... I mean, Rose, Tolan, even Johnson hit over 300. The hitting is just... One is better than the other. Here's... 4-5. It's an 8-2, down by 6 Reds. 6-11 right-handed, and there's a base hit to right. Reds are down by 6 here, top of the 9th. Perez is on. Here's Bench. Who you asking, Mike? I saw a little bit of King of the Hill. It's interesting show. It's a sort of a satirical kind of thing. 6-6 right-handed, and he struck Bench out. Ferguson, and that was with the changeup. And it's his 7th for the evening. Don't miss Baseball History with Jeffrey Guterman coming right up after a brief break after this ball game. Lee May. A very good show. I mean, it had its own... I can't sit and watch too much of it. I can't sit and watch too much of anything. Okay. Here's May 0 for 3. The pitch from Ferguson. 110. It's a fly ball to right field. And under it is Hickman, and that's 2 away. And Jenkins walks off the mound. Grabs the rosin bag. Takes his hat off. Wipes his brow with his bicep sleeve. Grabs the resin bag again. Walks back onto the mound, digs into that rubber. From the stretch with Tony on first, 2 down, and the pitch to Helms. 1-6, right-handed, hit deep by Tommy. Going back to the wall is Williams, and he makes the catch. The Cubs win. The final score from the friendly confines is Chicago Cubs 8, Cincinnati Reds 2. Great game for the Cubs. Bench ain't did shit today. 0 for 4. There you go. I'd say, I have one word for that performance. You know what it is? Ron? I have one word. Oh, I wait till I tell Ferguson on X, formerly Twitter, that he went all the way. He got his 14th win. He was awesome. I don't care that he let up 9. They were all singles. I don't give a shit. They were spread out. He didn't walk a goddamn batter. 7 strikeouts, 2 runs. The loss goes to Arrigo. The final line, Cubs 8 runs, 11 hits, no errors. Reds 2 runs, 9 hits, no errors. Great freaking game, if you ask me. There was a double play ball, and both runs the Reds scored were on double play balls. Fergie was Fergie, okay? And I want to thank all you folks. I'm going to have a little intermission here for about 10 minutes. And then when I get back, I'm going to get into baseball history with Jeffrey Guterman. Stand by for baseball history with Jeffrey Guterman coming up in just a few moments. Baseball history is coming up in just a short moment. Baseball history with Jeffrey Guterman. Hey everybody, Jeffrey Guterman, and I'm so glad to be with you this evening. And I thought it might be a fun thing to do, for me at least, to share some of my reflections on the history of baseball. So this is my premiere episode of Baseball History with Jeffrey Guterman. And I'm not here to necessarily impart, disseminate information and knowledge as much as I am here to share some of my understandings. Jacques Barzoon, a great author, once wrote, "To truly know the mind and heart of America, you had better learn baseball." Baseball, we could debate about when it really started. I'm going to say you could pick roughly. You could go, I mean, if you want to go back, you can go back to Native Americans. There were games with a ball and a stick that go back thousands of years ago. But as far as American baseball as we know it, some people go back to the 1840s. Believe it or not, and I know very little about it, but I've read about it, I've watched documentaries on it. I'm not here to talk about that, okay? I don't have actually the history, but what I wanted to do was I wanted to first share a few personal experiences that I've had. And this is just a select of personal interactions that I've had with players. The first one is Carmen Fanzone. I remember he was on the Cubs. He was a catcher, I believe. Carmen Fanzone. Does anybody remember him? And I used to harass him when I was about, 14 years old. After the game, I would go to the fence where the players come out, the visiting team. And in this case, they have a bus that takes them to their hotel or something. And when Fanzone would come out, I would give him shit, and he would give shit right back to me. And I gotta, now looking back, I gotta say, and by the way, he became, I think, a trumpet player. So hats off to Carmen Fanzone for a fantastic. So history. The thing we got to understand about history, and of course we also have the herstory, is it's got the word story in it, and you have a view, but when you're looking in one way at something, you're neglecting the other perspectives. And it's multidimensional. It's not just either or, it's multidimensional. And we have created these webs of significance ourselves. The second person who I met, these are people I actually met or saw, met or was within distance. And these two I did not speak to. These are two absolute legends of baseball, Ted Williams and Joe DiMaggio. And Ted Williams, I was age, I'm going to say 9.5, on vacation in Tampa with my family. We were visiting my grandmother's sister, and we went to a restaurant, and we saw Williams come out. He seemed tall to me, and he seemed relatively young, but not too young. So that was a kind of a thrill. The third one, who I met, I was too afraid to approach. I was 9.5 on the other one. But when I saw this guy, I was too goddamn afraid to approach. I was at a Marlins game. I believe it was about 19, probably in the neighborhood of, it might have been their championship year of 97 or, somewhere around then. And he was in the stands, first row of the upper, not really upper, but the further back box seats. So you have where the row he's sitting, you have the aisle, and then you go in this way. You have the aisle, and then you go in this way. He's sitting here, and then you have the aisle, and then you have the closer box seats. And he was in a suit and tie. And I just didn't have the frickin' nerve to approach him. I imagine he would have been hospitable. I mean, the legend he was, and I'm not saying he was a great person or anything, but the legend he was, he's in the song Mrs. Robinson. Okay, is it Mrs. Robinson? Yeah, I think it is that one. The final one is just a mention of Dick Hauser. Dick Hauser is a non-blood relative, if you will. He's like a very far removed cousin, many times removed on my mother's side. As far as me goes, I did play some baseball, and I was on the freshman team in high school, but I didn't even bother going out for JV, let alone varsity. I played left or center. I was a poor hitter. I had no fundamentals. I was good in the field, unless I made an error. It could happen. I had a nervousness. I was a decent pitcher if I could have control. So that's me in baseball. Now, where you punctuate, we were talking about history and herstory and the multiple perspectives. Which version of history are you going to tell? Okay? There's an old African proverb. Let me see if I could find it. And it goes something like this. Until the lion tells the story, the hunter will always be the hero. Let me say that again, okay? Until the lion tells the story, the hunter will always be the hero. And what I get out of that is we want to give voice to all in telling history. I'm not talking, of course, you have there's always an exception, like Holocaust deniers, you know what I mean? And doesn't mean you accept things like that. I'm going to go into a section called, and for lack of the better, I call it the inspirers. These are people who made just incredible, they adapted very well. The first one is Dummy Hoy. And I don't want you to, here it is. See if I can get a larger picture. Dummy Hoy, and they used to call someone a dummy when you were deaf. They used to say deaf and dumb. It wasn't necessarily as derogatory as we might think today in our hyper, and it's a good thing. It's called evolution. Our politically correct culture, but it was used. And I'd like to talk to you very briefly about Dummy Hoy. He was born in 1862. He died as late as 1961. And he played in baseball from 1888 to 02. So he's the real early days, okay? And he was deaf. And he's considered the most, probably the best player. He's not the only deaf player there was. But he was probably the best there is. And some people, and we don't know for sure about this, it's because of him that got the game to start using signals for safe and out calls. Okay, so that's out, that's safe, and I don't know. It's probably something we don't know for sure. He was an excellent base runner. He scored 100 runs 9 times. He was born in Ohio in a small town called Houcktown, and he became deaf after meningitis when he was 3 years old. He was valedictorian at Ohio State School for the Deaf. And he opened a shoe repair shop in his hometown and played baseball on weekends. And he finally got a professional contract in 1886. Dummy Hoy. In Hoy's time, the word dumb was used to describe someone who could not speak rather than someone who was stupid. And, that's where language and historization comes into play. And when we talk about history, it has a lot to do with culture. In other words, what's right, what's wrong, what is, okay? And when I was a kid, it was pretty much acceptable to call somebody a midget. Okay, we don't call them that anymore. We call them small people. Okay, so it changes. The definition of woman, think about it. It's the time a woman, well, that was property. A woman couldn't vote. She couldn't own property. She, really unbelievable. And now what does woman mean? It means so many things, okay? So much more. But getting back to Hoy, and there is a limited release movie that came out in 2019 called The Silent Natural. And Miles Barbie played Hoy, who's deaf in real life. So it was a pretty cool kind of thing. The second person I'd like to talk about is Mordecai Brown. People you love to call him. He didn't like to be called Three Finger Brown. I mean, how would you like to be called that? He had 3 fingers. It was a deformity that developed. And I don't know if that's the hand, because it looks like he's got 4 fingers, which is kind of bizarre. But Mordecai Brown is his name. And I want to tell you, he's in our 1911 replay, and which is in a hiatus right now. And he lived. This guy actually was a real person, and it was the sports announcers that sometimes gave the nicknames to people. And so they started calling him Three Finger Brown, and it stuck. But he didn't consider himself Three Finger Brown. I think some of the names that he was given were, this guy is a great pitcher, and some people think it was the advantage that he could have the grip on the ball. He used to be called Miner because he was a miner where he grew up in Indiana. It was a farm machinery accident in his youth. And here, I don't know if these are real or if these are models or what this is, but here are some images. So I guess this is what it means. He doesn't have an index finger, and he adapted it beautifully, got a great grip, and actually really was a great pitcher for a time. I think he finally didn't play too long after that. The final one I'm going to talk about is a favorite, Pete Gray. I think some of you, and I call these the inspirers because these people, despite, and I would call it seeming adversity. I think Dummy Hoy, I don't know if it did him any better, but he was a great player. Mordecai, I think it might have worked to his advantage. Pete Gray, I'm not sure this worked to his to his advantage. Pete Gray had one arm, okay, and he played, I believe, in the 30s or the 40s. And he was able to. He played on St. Louis, I believe, the Cardinals. He was able to somehow, have a. First of all, he could clutch the bat. I think he tucked it under his armpit, and he would drop his glove. He would make a catch and then pull the ball out. Actually, throw the glove up and let the ball come loose, and he would catch the ball and then throw it in. He was better than a lot of people in baseball. Now, how's that for inspiration? I want to see if I can get this in 1 second here. I want to show you a moving picture, if you will, of the greatest catch ever made. In World Series history. Kind of boggles the mind just to think about it. And I think it was game 4. And I believe a run scored, they tagged, but it would have been much worse. And they went on to win the frickin' game. And it was there are many turning points in a World Series. But this was a huge frickin' turning point. It was now 3-1 Mets in games. Ron Swoboda with the catch. I'll tell you, in regular season, they just wouldn't go for a ball hit like that. They just wouldn't try it. I want to point you, we want to talk about history, and I'm doing this rather loosely. When I teach history, whatever type of history it is, or I hold a seminar where we facilitate a discussion of sharing, I would much rather encourage you to learn how to learn and to do your own research, but I'm going to tell you right now that there is a great interview with Smokey Joe Wood. I'm going to pull that up for you. But first, you know, Smokey Joe is arguably one of the greatest. He was the first Otani. I mean, the problem, not really, but he switched. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce you to one Smokey Joe Wood. He came up, I believe, with the Red Sox as a pitcher. And he was awesome as a pitcher. I mean, just awesome, awesome. And then he got hurt. He would have been a Hall of Famer as a pitcher. He got hurt after about 5 years, 6 years. So he played outfield. And he was great as an outfielder. I don't know if he was as great as he was a pitcher. And he lived a very, very long time. He played in the, I think the teens, the '08, you know, into the tens. But he lived a very long time, long enough for Lawrence Ritter, who compiled the book Glory of Their Times about the dead ball era and did interviews with living people. One of them is with Joe Wood. And if you haven't stopped and listened to some of that, you're missing the greatest. This is the audio of Smokey Joe Wood. And I'm going to play you about 10 seconds because for copyright purposes, I'm just going to play you about 10 seconds.
Smokey Joe Wood came from the Joe, but it really was Howard on its birth certificate. Smokey Joe Wood was in the major leagues for 15 years, from 1908 to 1922.
I'm sorry, that's not even Wood talking, so we'll forget about that. But just go to YouTube here and do a search. Just do a search, Smokey Joe Wood, and you'll see there's a lot of them who have it. Here he is doing it again, discussing his career. Maybe I just don't want to get caught up with that. Check that out. I have one final piece that I'd like to share with you all, and that is, I like to immerse myself into, like, imagine going back in the past. And don't many of you, if you're a Strat-O-Matic enthusiast, aren't you in a way going back in the past to try to relive something? And how fun it might be to go back in the past to a time before you were born. And I want to take you back, if you'll allow me. So what I suggest you do, and it's okay to be looking at this, but I say turn down the lights, recline comfortably, and let me take you back to a time which was a different time. having a slight technical problem here.
Whether you're
It happens. But remember, go back. Go back in time. To a time that I'm trying to talk about here. I want to tell you something, folks. I look at him and I see a legend. You may not like him, but he was such a constant for New York Giants fans. John McGraw. And it blows my mind to look at him so close up, so naturally, so alive, as if I can really get into what it might have been like to have him as the manager. I bet you could easily talk to him, have access to him also. Folks, I want to thank you for my first installment of Baseball History. It was very impromptu, based on just a few notes that I jotted down. I say to you, don't take me too seriously, folks, okay? And I wish you all good night. I enjoyed myself. I loved that ball game. Loved the Cubs winning a nice ball game. Have a good night, everybody. Take care. Thank you, Ron McGrath. Thank you, Kathy Harden. Thank you. You do the best you can. Thank you. You're great friends. Thank you very much.